virtual machine or server, Linux server. To do that, how to log into the Linux server? That one step we need to understand. So here, right, to log into the Linux server, right, we need to use a utility called SSH, Secure Shell. SSH stands for SSH, and we need to provide the username, guys, with which user you want to log in. Currently, right, by default, I am going to use the Vagrant as a username, and at the rate here I need to provide a host name. Okay, host name or IP address. In the real time, right, you can use the host name or IP address. Anything, right, you can use it, guys, and the port will be 22 by default. Okay, since currently, right, whatever things I am doing, right, everything it is in my local. That's why, right, for local desktop, right, the host name will be by default local host. Okay, say right, local host. This will be my host name. IP address, right, by default 127.0.0.1. Okay, this is how, right, we need to log in, guys. In the real time also, right, what we need to do is we just need to update the username with the whatever user you have, and this is our IP or host name. That's it, guys. But currently I'm doing in my local, right, I have done the port forwarding, guys. That's why, right, I need to pass one more argument called port. Okay, the port, right, from my desktop, if I want to log into the virtual machine, right, I need to use the port with the 22. This is my, I have done the port mapping. Otherwise, right, in the real time, right, so since you are trying to log into the server directly, right, you don't need to pass this argument. Okay, you just need to pass this up to here. This should be enough, guys. Then try to enter this one. When you execute it, right, it will ask you to authenticate. Okay, that means whatever user you have created, you're trying to access, right, you need to enter the password for this particular user. Correct, by default, right, the password will be Vagrant. Okay, currently, as you can see, right, I have logged into the virtual machine, guys, or you can say like Linux server. Okay, this is the way, right, we need to log into the Linux server. Then once you log into Linux server, right, here a couple of things you are seeing in the screen. First one is there is some square braces. Within the square braces, right, you can see something like Vagrant, localhost, and tilde symbol, and this is the dollar symbol. Okay, let's try to segregate, guys, this part. Okay, let's try to understand what is the meaning of this one. Okay, here Vagrant is the username, current username. Okay, then this is your host name, and this is the root this is the user home directory. Whenever you saw this tilde symbol, right, this value refers to the user home directory. Then you are seeing something like dollar. When you see the dollar symbol, right, you are a non-root user. That means non-administrative level user. Similarly, right, let's say, guys, so in case if you go to some different folder, see here, this username and hostname is common, but the current folder, right, working directory path is changing, guys. Currently, earlier this is tilde symbol. Now, as you can see, this is the OPT symbol, guys, and the dollar will be same. In case if you want to change, right, let's say in the Windows, right, if you want to, when you do the right click on any file, right, run as an administrator, something like that, one option you will get it in general. See here, something like that. If you any script, right, it will say like open as an administrator, something like that, right, you will get an option. Just like that, right, in Linux also, right, you can always become the administrator user with the set of commands. To do that part, right, you should use the sudo space su. When you pass this command, right, you will become the root user, guys. That means administrative user. You can do anything in any folder. You can, if you can add the user, you can remove the users, anything, right, you can do this, guys, with this permission. Here, if you observe, right, the syntax got changed here just now. See here, when I'm with Vagrant user, right, this is saying like Vagrant localhost and current folder, whatever it is. Similarly, right, when I become root user, it got changed here. If you observe clearly, this is the root user and @hostname and OPT. Here, right, currently I have the hash symbol. That means when you see the hash symbol means currently I am the root user. Okay, so that whatever operation you are going to perform, right, you should be do it very, very carefully. This is the difference, guys. Any questions, guys, you have until now? Feel free to ask me any questions, guys, if you have anything.
Yeah, Venkatesh, actually we are getting the connection refused when we connect the Vagrant host.
Great, great. Yes, yes. These kind of questions take support, right? I will answer in the end of the session.
Okay.
Okay, great. Any other questions, guys? What we have learned is until now is we just know like how to log into the Linux server. To log into Linux server, right, we need the username and the host IP or host name and password. And once you log in, right, we are able to see like this. Okay.
Venkatesh, Naresh here. Hello.
Yes. Yes, Naresh, go ahead.
In Windows now, once we run as administrator, we set some like password, whatever we set. So in this now, we moved with sudo command. It didn't ask any password and username. Nothing.
Yes, yes. Don't do it that part also, right? I will cover. Okay, great. Any further questions, guys? Okay, so one small announcement, guys. Please don't think Linux is something like rocket science. Okay, if we are from my end, I really understood like when you're working with Windows, right? Working with Linux is a little bit pain point, but in the real time, right? So most of the servers, out of 100 servers, right, 85 to 90% Linux servers only. Okay, most of the hosting will be happening on the Linux only. So you should be comfortable, guys. So you may think like, okay, this is something new to me, something like that. But once you've done couple of time practice, right, Linux is very, very easy, guys. That's why I can give guarantee. Okay, guys. Now let's move further. We have done the login and I have become root user. Let's say now. So now what I can do is, if you want to create a new user, let's say you are already working into a project. Let's say like some Venkat. Okay, some Venkat is joined newly to the team. So obviously, right, when he logged in, right, directly for the newcomers, right, we can't provide the root user or some level of permissions. Then what we need to do is we need to share him some normal user. We need to create a user for him. You can assign a set of roles for him, and we need to provide a password for him to log into the server. This is the typical process, guys, which we are going to do it. Now, if you want to create a new user in the Linux server, right, you should do a command called user add space whatever username you want to pass it, you need to pass it. Let's say like Venkat. When you enter the command, right, it will create a user with the Venkat. Okay. If you see, right, when you log into the Windows desktop, Windows machine, let's say what will happen is, by default, what you are going to see is, let's say like I have some within users, right, I have my own account, Venkat user. Once you log in, right, you are going to see the desktop. That means by default screen will be desktop. Okay. In the Linux, right, when the user is login, right, by default he is going to for the home directory of the particular user. Okay, let's see. Use cd/home. By default, right, all the users will be hosted on the /home. Now let's see that. Here, as you can see, right, I have a user called Vagrant. This is the by default user, guys. When I create a virtual machine, right, this guy is the default user. Currently, just now I have created a user, Venkat. That means Venkat user only can log into the within. He can see whatever files are stored in the this particular path /home/Venkat. So if you create more users, right, here you will see the more folder. That means everything is the user home directory, guys. So he can save all his work, right, in his user home directory. Only, right, root user the user who has root permission, right, only he can access all that. He can see all the data. Otherwise, right, nobody can see your data. Okay, this is one. Currently, right, I just create a user, guys, but I didn't assign any password. That means how he will log in? He can't log in, right? That's why we need to provide a password for this Venkat user, which is created newly. Let's try to do that part. PA to assign the password, right? PASSWD space Venkat. Now, when you run this command, right, it will try to ask for a password. Okay, you can give anything, guys. Say like admin at 123, something like this. Admin at 123. So I'm just checking for some syntax, which is fine. So at the end, right, you can see something like all authentication token updated successfully. That means the password is created for this particular Venkat user. Now, let's say, now what we are going to do is we will try to log into the server with this newly created user. What you are going to do is you have shared the username and password to the Venkat user to log into the server. Then now you guys tell me, guys, how to log into the server with this newly created user. SSH Venkat @ hoster IP address localhost. The port mapping will be for my localhost 2222. Now let's try to enter this one. Now it is asking for password for the Venkat user. That means whatever password you have created just now, right? You should use that one, guys. That's it. Very easy. Admin @ 123. See now, he has logged into the Linux server. Venkat user also like this, right? So whenever there is some new user onboard to your project, right? You can create a password, something like this, username and password like this, guys. There will be more things to do. We'll cover in the future. Let's not overload today only, in the day one only. Okay. So now currently, right, if you see, right, the interface got changed, guys. As you can see, right, Venkat user, localhost and tilde symbol, dollar symbol. That means he is the non-root user. Now currently, right, if you want to see the present working directory, okay, in Windows, right, you have, when you go to any folder, right, in the top level column, right, you will see something like this. See here, some download section. If you go to anywhere, right, see here, if you go to anywhere, right, in the top level symbol, right, you will be see everything. But in the Linux, right, that feature won't be there, guys. Okay, that's why, right. So if you are not sure in which folder you are working on currently, then, right, you need to pass a command called pwd, present working directory. What it is going to do is it's going to print on the current working directory, guys. Wherever you have, right, current user, right, it is going to print this part. Okay, then if you want to go to some different folder, when you have UI in Windows like this, right, you can go to anywhere. Let's say like some program files, if you want, you can go to some 7-zip language, anywhere, right, from the UI interface, right, you can go. That means changing directory will be very, very straightforward, guys, because whatever seeing, right, you're seeing is from UI. You just need to press the mouse button. Okay. Similarly, right, in the Linux also, right, you want to go to some different folders. Then how to do that part? To do that, right, we need to use the command called cd. Cd stands for the change directory. Okay, cd / say like OPT folder, you can go anywhere, guys. Okay, some temp folder you can go, something like this. Wherever this user has permission, right, he can go to anywhere. But currently I am a Venkat user, right? Let me try to go to the Vagrant user home path. See, this guy is the Venkat user and he is trying to access the data within the Vagrant user's home, which is, right, which it won't allow, because this Venkat user, he is not a root user. That's the reason, right, he won't be able to access anything within the Vagrant user's data folder, home directory. This is how, right, the permission management will be done, guys. Any questions, guys, until now?
No, sir.
Okay, guys. Okay, guys. So one small thing, guys, because most of the people are new to Linux, right? For each 4 to 5 commands, right, I will ask. If you have any questions, right, you can ask again. If you don't understand, right, I will try to repeat it again. Okay, that's why, right, for each 5 minutes, right, I will say like if you have any question. Okay. Then cd directory. Then in case, guys, if you want to create a directory, then how to do it? Let's say, to do that part, right, we need to fire up a command called mkdir, make directory. Then let's say like you want to create a folder called test. To do that, mkdir space test. Immediately, right, it will create a folder within the temp folder called test. Again, if you want to go to inside the folder, right, same steps, guys, cd space test. This is how, right, you can change to the any folder, guys. Okay. Similarly, you want to create some file, some empty, say like in Windows, right? You have some editors, something like WordPad will be there, Microsoft Word will be there, Notepad, Notepad++, any tool, right? You can fire up, right? If you want to create any file. So otherwise, right, you can just right click on new, something like this. What you can right click, new, folder or file, anything, right? You can create, guys. Okay. Similarly, right, when you click on the text, right, it will create an empty file. Okay, just like that in Linux also, right, to create any empty file, right, immediately what you can do is you can directly use there is a command called touch. So you touch, select test.txt. Just when you fire up this command, right, you are going to see the test.txt. This is, if you can see, right, this is the empty, no data within the file. Okay, like this, right, you can create a file, guys, in a Linux. Similarly, if you want to open the file in the Windows, right, what you are going to do is you just double click on this one. Okay, the file is going to open. You can add something. Like this, right, you can open file and you can save it, guys. Just right click and Control S. It's going to save the file. Similarly, right, in Linux also, right, we have an editor called VI editor, guys. Okay, there are some Sublime Text, different editors will be there. So what in for the basic level, right, be comfortable with the VI editor. That means VI space test. Then, right, the file will get open, guys. Okay. So once you enter, right, you need to press on the insert. Then you can type it here, whatever data you want to add it. Similarly, right, similar to Notepad, you can add any data here. So, right, we can add the data, guys. To save, right, escape :WQ. This one, right, you can practice, guys. If you do practice it a couple of times, right, you will be very comfortable with these all these Linux commands. Then I have saved the file, guys. Now, in case I want to see the content of the file, how to do that one? You can use directly the VI editor. If you want, you can use it to see the content. Otherwise, right, you can always use the cat command, cat space test.txt. So the syntax will be cat space whatever file name you want to see the data, right? You can use this one, guys. This is how, right, we can do it. Okay. Similarly, in case you want to delete this file, how to do that part? To delete a file, right, we need to fire up a command called rm remove. Okay, let's say, right, rm space test.txt. Now, if you see here, right, currently I don't have any file in my current folder. That means this is successfully removed the file. Similarly, guys, in case if you want to delete a folder, to do, let me make it as some dummy file. Let's say, let me go to the one step back. Now I want to delete a folder called test folder. To do that part, right, let me try to delete with the rm command. Let's see what will happen. So when you fire up the command, right, rm to delete the directory, it is saying like rm cannot remove test is a directory. That means to delete a directory, right, we can't use the just rm. So we need to pass some arguments, guys. To remove a directory, right, we should use a command called rm space -r. Okay, then test. See, this is how, right, we can delete a folder which has no data. If the folder has any data, right, then it won't allow you to delete anything recursively and forcefully, right? Some of the argument we need to pass, guys, to delete any folder. This is the syntax. This is how, right, you can create a folder, you can create a file, you can open the file and you can see the data of the file, and you can delete a file with the rm command. If you want to delete any folder, right, you should use some more arguments, rm space -r for recursively and test folder. This is how, right, we can delete the folder also, guys. Any questions, guys? You have to
Venkatesh, can you repeat cat command? Sorry.
Okay, you want to see cat command, right? Sure. Okay, let me create some file. Okay, let me add some data also. Now, basically, right, you will log into the Linux server and you have a file here. File called test.txt file. Okay, any file. Okay, so you want to see the content of the file. To see the content of the file, right, you should use the cat. That means it will print all the test data. I mean, whatever content is there for this particular file, right, it is going to print it, something like this. This is how, right, you will see whatever all data is there present within this test.txt file.
We will be able to see full data.
Yes, exactly. If we 100 lines, right, you will see all 100 lines.
Okay.
Yeah. This is how we can see, guys. But don't worry, guys. This is just a command line only. In real time, right, you have the tools actually. You can directly open the Notepad editor also. Just you should be comfortable with the CLI. That's why, right? So let's say same thing. Let's try to do in the mobile extra. Do practice, guys. Do practice on CLI based. I'm just giving some shortcuts. Okay. Let's say host name. Same steps, right? You want to log in with any SSH tool. How to do that? Let's try to see now. I'm passing the username. Sorry, I'm passing the host name or IP address. Username. Username will be Vagrant, and the port will be 2222, guys. Okay. Since this is my local, let me click on the OK. It is asking for password. See. I have something like this. I already logged in. Now here, right, in the left hand side, you can see the folder path, right? Wherever you go, right, it will go. Say like some temp folder path you can control, you can see this one. You can follow, right? Yeah. Or you can directly do the right click and open with default text editor. You can edit it directly also, but make sure, right, be comfortable with the Linux environment. Okay. Know all the commands. For 2 to 3 years of experience, they've asked commands in the interviews also. That's why, right, please practice everything. But when you use the utilities, right, SSH utilities or FTP utilities, right, you don't need to struggle this much. Say like creating file, just to create a file like this. If you want to create some empty text file, create like this. See here. Directly go here. You don't need to follow any command also. Okay, with some toolings, right, you can directly do that, but be comfortable with all the Linux commands, guys. Okay. Okay, this is how, right, we're going to do it, guys. Then what next? Then in the Linux also, right? Okay. So whatever commands we are firing up, right, everything on the CLI based, guys. That's why, right? So we need to list down the files. We need to get the files. All these operations also, right, you should do in the CLI based only. To do this part, right, so whenever you want to list down any files, right, you need to fire up a command called ls. When you run this command ls, right, a listing will be happening on the folder name or file name, something like this only. But you won't be able to see the permission and size of the file. To do that part, right, just the same operation only, guys. When you fire up a LL, right, it will give more details about a particular file or folder. That's it. As you can see here, right, I have created some text file with the Venkat user. That's where it is saying like username is Venkat and group name is Venkat. And when the file got created. Okay, something like this, it's going to showcase that. Similarly, right, I have something like test1 folder. What is the size of the folder? All these data, right, you will be able to see. When the file got changed last time, all this data, right, you will be able to see, guys. Similarly, in the Linux, right, we have something like hidden files, guys. Hidden files means when you fire up a command like this, right, you won't be able to see that particular files. So there is some separate requirement is there to do that part. That part, right, we'll cover in the future sessions. Now, if you want to see the empty file, hidden files, right, let me go to the user home directory. Now, let me try to run the ll command. When I run the ll command, currently I am not seeing anything. But let me try to use the ll space -a. See, currently you are seeing 3 hidden files. If you don't pass argument called -a, right, you won't be able to see any hidden files, guys. Okay, so if you want to see all the files, minus A for all. Okay, you should fire up a command something like this: ll space minus A. Then what it is going to do is, irrespective of hidden or non-hidden files, right? It's going to echo all the data, guys. This is how, right, you can list down the files.
LL అయితే full data folder with full data తో details ఇస్తాయి.
Okay.
LS అయితే only file names ఇస్తాయి.
As if somebody is speaking. Okay, guys. Now let's move the further. Similarly, let me try to create a file here, some empty file. Like copy and move operations, guys, in the Linux as well. Obviously, copy means, right, it will create a replica of the current file. That means, let's say like some test file I have. What I'm going to do is I will add some data within the file. Let me save the file. Currently, I have something like test data within the file, this particular file. So now let's try to do the copy operation and see what it is going to do it. Copy operation is cp space test file. This is the source file, and we should pass the destination file. Select test1.txt. Let me try to run this command. Then try to list down the files now. When you fire up command, right, you can see something like test1.txt file is there and test1.txt file is there. Sorry, test.txt and test1.txt files. Two files are there. This is because currently I have only created a file called test.txt, guys. But using copy command, right, I have created a replica of the test.txt file. That means whatever file content, whatever permissions, everything, right, it will create a replica, guys. Okay, this is how, right, copy command is going to work out. Similarly, if you use the move command, right, what it is going to do it? Let's try to see that part. Use the move command, right, it will rename the file completely. test2.txt. Let me try to change it something like this. Now let's list the files. Here, right, test.txt file is not there. When you use the move command, what it is going to do is it will try to completely rename the file. This is only on the file operation, guys. If it is on folder operations, right, what it's going to do is it will try to move the file to the folder. Okay, this is on the file operations. Similarly, let's try to create a folder, guys. mkdir space some, this is the test folder. Some test folder I have created. Now what I want to do is I want to copy the test1.txt file to the test folder. You see here, right, I have test1.txt and test2.txt, and these files, right, if I want, I can move them to the test. If I want to copy, you can copy. Obviously, when you copy, right, what it will do is the current file will be there. When you move, right, the test1 file.txt, it won't be available in the current folder. Let's try to do that operation, guys. cp space test1.txt test folder. This operation, right, what happening is currently test file folder is there and test1.txt file also there. Now let's try to see the data within the test folder. When you see the data in the test folder, right, you can see the test1.txt. Same thing if you do operation with the move command, right, it will get changed completely. Let me try to do this operation test2. Now move command running, I run this command. Let's see what happening now. See, as you can see, right, it's completely move the file inside the test2.txt file within the test folder, guys. These are the operations which we need to know in a basic level. If you have any questions, right, let me know, guys. Okay.
Venkatesh,
So-
we need to give the path also, right? While we are moving the test to the path, which folder directory we are moving.
Exactly. See, as of now, right, there is some absolute path and relative path will be there. As of now, right, currently whatever file I am using, right, file and folder are in same path. That's why, right, directly, right, I was able to pass it. So what you are saying is, of course, yes, the destination, right, full path we need to pass. When we need to do that part is, if the folder is in the different path. Okay, let me show you that part also. Let me try to copy the test.txt to the test1.txt to the temp folder. See here. This is how we can do it, guys. The source will be our file, and the destination will be the complete path to the folder, wherever you want to move the file. A permission issue. I think this folder is created by the Vagrant user. Okay. If we do same operation with the Vagrant user, right, it is going to work out, guys. This is the syntax, guys. Just know the syntax as of now. Okay. Then let's move further, guys. These are all right basic file operations and user operations, and also some listing operations, guys. That's it. Now let's try to go some little bit advanced level. Okay. Let's say you just log into the server, guys, but you don't know what is the OS, you don't know what is the CPU and what the memory configuration. Obviously, right? So to log into the server, right, you don't need to learn all this stuff. But when you want to install some software, you know, let's say like you want to install some DevOps tool stack or some application deployment, anything, right? That time you should know the system level configuration, guys. In Windows, how we are going to do it, guys?
Windows config, IP config, Windows config.
In Windows, right, directly, if you want to write what you can do, this PC properties. Simple. Go to the properties. Here you can see all the data. Say like what is the host name, device name, in the sense this is nothing but a host name, guys, computer name, simply speaking. Then what the processor, what the RAM configuration, all the data, right? You can see. You can see like system type as a 64-bit processor. You know what the OS version, what is the build, all the data, right? You are able to see. Similarly, right, in Linux also, right, we have some different flavors, guys. Okay. Typically, right, so just for simple understanding, I'm going to tell you. So here, right, in Linux also we have something Debian family. Just compare with the Windows family, guys. That's it. And similarly, some Red Hat family also they will call it as. Right, I'm using CentOS, guys. CentOS, Red Hat, RHEL, they will call it as Fedora. So the syntax, everything, right, it will be similar, guys. But in the Debian also, right, mostly it will be common only. This is Ubuntu. There are some different OS flavors also. Okay, now we don't know, guys. You just have the IP address and username and password. That's it. So you don't know what the OS family. To know this part, right, you should get the system level information. To do that part, right? So currently I just become the Vagrant user back to Pavilion. Here, let's try to see, guys. U name space -a. When you run this command, right, you will be able to see most of the data, guys. What is the OS? Linux. This is my host name, and this is our Red Hat. This is the processor. 64-bit processor. Some high-level information, right? We are able to see. Currently, in the uname space -a command, right? You only see what the OS platform and what the host name and what the processor. But we should know the complete details. To do that part, right? You know the cat command, right? What it will do is it will just print the data of a file. Now let's fire up a command. etc space OS release. All the data, right? OS related configuration, right? You will be able to find it here, guys. /etc/OS release. When you fire up the command, right, you can see all the data. Say like currently this is CentOS version, is the 8th version, and all the data, right, you are able to see that. Okay. Now similarly, right, only for this is applicable for the all the Linux platform, guys. Okay. But for the Red Hat, right, Red Hat family, we have some different file also. That is something like release, RHEL release. Release. Okay. You can see complete data within the file. This will be only available in the Red Hat family, guys. it won't be available in some different distribution. Okay, don't confuse guys. As of now, right, all the practice will be done on the CentOS. Once you are comfortable, right, we'll try in the Ubuntu also. Same steps. Okay, currently, as you can see, something like this. Similarly, if you want to see the CPU or memory configuration, when you say CPU and processing, obviously some i5 configuration, i3 configuration, just like that, in Linux also we have the similar configuration. Say like if you want to see that cat space CPU info, right, you will see all the data guys. As of now, right, it is taking the processor from my laptop because I'm running my Linux server within my laptop. If you are using the real-time hosting server, right, you don't see this one, Intel. Some different vendor, right, you will be see the model. Okay, see all the CPU information, you will be able to see it here. How many CPU counts are there? See, currently 2 CPU cores I have. Okay, what is the processor? All the data, right, you will be able to see guys. Similarly, if you want to see the memory information, that means RAM details also, right, you can see something like that. /proc/mem info. With this command, right, you will be able to see all the data, something like this. Currently, this is showing in the KB guys. You need to convert it to the memories, sorry, GBs, that's it. That's all right, we will be able to see guys, all the system level configuration. Similarly, in Windows, right, you have something like C drive, D drive, some disk partition will be there. That means C drive, D drive means that's not like different hard disk. Okay, you have one hard disk completely. For the particular hard disk, right, you have logically partitioned. That means for C drive, right, you have allocated some space like 500 GB, something like that. For E drive, something like that. So some disk operation that you have performed. That's it. Here, as you can see here, right?
మెమరీ యూటిలైజేషన్ కి MEM వచ్చిన పెట్టినట్టు నేను చూసాను.
Can you go on that?
వెళ్ళిపోయింది. నేను ఇక్కడ మెసేజ్ చేసేట్టు అసలు.
Okay. So here, whatever things you are seeing, right? Everything this is kind of partitioning. That's it, guys. Similarly, in the Linux also, right, we can do the partition. That means currently, right, since I'm using my Linux machine, right, what it's going to do is it will take mount point from the computer hard disk. That's it. Now, to do that part, right, partitions, right, you can see the df space kh. When you see this, right, just compare it, guys. If you don't know, right, just compare with Windows so that you know you will be understand easily. See here, C drive, D drive, E drive, right? Just like that in Linux also, right? We'll have the partition. What the actual size, what the available size, what the usage. Just to compare with the Windows also. What the size, what the free size, something like that. Okay. You can add n number of partitions like this, guys. Just like C drive, D drive, right? You can add any number of mount points here in the Linux as well. This is how, right, we can see this part, guys. Any question guys you have until now? We have see the system configuration, say like how to see the OS version, how to see the system configuration, how to see the CPU and memory information. Also, you know, how to see the disk level operations. All these things, right, we have seen just now. If you have any questions, right, feel free to ask me, guys. I will try to reiterate. Don't feel shy, okay?
How to create the disk and how to rename the disk name?
Rename this part, right, I will cover in the administration part in the Azure.
Okay.
I will try to teach you know how adding a disk, how to add the mount point, how to make it like permanently, all these steps, right? I will share it. You can document it, guys. Don't worry. Currently, right, just focus on the Linux basics. Okay, all the admin also I will cover in the future session. Okay, guys.
What it refers to df-kh means any name we can remember it. Any explanation?
So,
DF?
by default, right, if you can pass the df, right, disk details, it's going to print out, guys. Okay, when you use this argument, right, H means like human readable format. That's it. It will come to the KBs and whatever all the data is there, right? This thing you can't understand what the current target, what the size, all these details. So just for that, right, I'm going to use this part. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's move further, guys. In the Windows, right, if you want to, let's say, guys, your laptop get overloaded, your laptop is getting hanged. That time, what you are going to do is you need to see the process, you need to see the CPU and memory usage. To do that part, right, what you are going to do is you just go to the task manager, right click, go to the task manager here, and here you will be able to see all the data, guys. See here, what the CPU, what the memory, what the disk hitting, network bandwidth, everything you are able to see it here. Similarly, performance also, here you will be able to see some graph. All the data, right, you are able to see like this, guys. Some different services, as you can see, right, how many processes are running, all the data, right, in Windows you will be able to see something like this, guys. Okay, then how to do it in the Linux? How to see the current disk usage, how to see the similar view. To do this part, right, you can use the command called top, T-O-P. When you use the command, right, it will show something like user directory, sorry, which is user and what is the CPU and memory configuration it is taking. Currently, I didn't install any software, right? That's why, right, it started printing anything, guys. If I install any software, right, it will show the service. Currently, this is plain VM, right? So I don't have anything on the VM. That's why, right, it is taking very less memory. If I install any software, right, it will list down the here, and also, right, it will take some RAM and CPU memory, CPU usage. That's it. This is how, right, we can monitor the CPU and memory of a virtual machine, guys, in the Linux machine, Linux. Similarly, right, we can also share some shortcut -G. When you use this command, right, what it's going to show is RAM usage only it's going to showcase, guys. Here, as you can see, right, so total usage and CPU, sorry, what are the free RAM, something like this. Okay, there are some different commands just like this. So if you want to see the process, right, completely, there is command called PS3. What it's going to do is for each process, right, what here in Windows you can see, right, different services and processes, right. In Linux also, right, it is showing like this. These are the system level processes, guys, nothing. So if I install any software, right, you will be able to see some process here. Okay, guys. If you have any questions, right, feel free to ask me, guys, from beginning, guys. Now let's take a pause here for a couple of minutes. If you have any questions, right, feel free to ask. I will try to answer. As I mentioned, right, this is very easy, guys. Just to practice only. Don't think like, okay, Linux is something like rocket science. I'm repeating again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link for you. Please register yourself and do the practice part. Okay. So if you are comfortable with the Linux, right, you can play with the DevOps very easily. You know the timings. Let's say like. Okay, guys. Any questions, guys? If you have any questions, right, feel free to ask me right now.
Hi, Venkatesh.
Great, sure.
So, we are creating a virtual machine, right? So, that like memory for that, like hard disk, it will take from our PC
Laptop.
or
Correct.
separate. It will be there.
Correct. So that part, right, we'll cover in the Azure actually. So briefly, right, let me cover that part if you want. Let me exit from here. Currently, I'm in DevOps practice in Jenkins folder, right? So here, right, you can alter it, the configuration. Just some brief idea I'm giving, some mount point. Someone asked, right, disk adding, disk allocation, all these things, right? Here you can see this one.
This is Terraform.
Let me. You can see here, right? You just uncomment this section. You can use the memory whatever you want. say like 5 GB, 4 GB, some RAM configuration, any system like we can do it. But this one, right, let's not try this one. Vagrant, just for local practice, that's it. Okay. All this stuff, right, we'll cover in the Azure. Similarly, some mount pointer also, if you want, right, you can try this one. Some network configuration, IP address allocation, all these things, right, you can do it from the Vagrant file configuration. Once you restart, right, it will allocate all the settings. That's it. Okay. Yes, guys. Any other further questions? Please ask, guys.
So it is just a 1 GB file or 1 MB, 1024 you mentioned. I mean the VM allocated.
VM, right, by default, like based upon the base box, whichever you're going to use it. This is like 60 GB, I think, total VM size, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you're seeing this one, right? See, by default, 60 GB is allocated.
Okay.
So this part, right, we can alter. We can alter from the Vagrant file. Yeah. Okay, guys. So I'm going to share a link to you. What you need to do is.
Can you explain tab command once?
Yeah, sure. Those commands also I will cover. I just take a small break. That's it.
Venkatesh, I didn't get those links which you shared yesterday because I didn't got it.
I think our consultant team, they have shared, I guess. Let me.
I don't know because I'm not. I didn't receive any email also in WhatsApp. I didn't receive that.
Okay. Sorry for that one. I think let me talk to the group and I will update.
If you can club all these members in one WhatsApp group and one communication can be sent. Right?
Nagaraj, did you share your contact details? Whoever shared, I shared entire documents and recorded session also yesterday only. If you shared with your form or else you filled the form, for sure you will get the link.
Yeah, form also I didn't get.
Form I shared here in the chat box. I requested them who are, or else just give your contact details. I can share within a minute.
Okay, I'll ping you that.
Yeah.
And also because chat is not opened here. It's
okay. Chat we will give the credentials once it's confirmed. I will give the credentials to each and everyone so that you can able to get the chat link. And please ping me Nagaraj once. I will give the record details to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And any other guys I didn't get to guys? Any other? Yesterday record session and these links and all. Yes, sir. Ping me. Right, my number 9916961234. Just ping me. I will give it to you. Yeah, sorry, Venkatesh, you can continue.
Yeah, no worries. I share the link here, guys. What you need to do is you just click on the link. Okay, it will redirect to the some basic lab setup. Okay, you just need to log into the register yourself. I think it's taking some time to load it. What you do is whatever comments we have discussed, right? So you can do the lab, guys, here. That's it. Simple. It's just for login. So as I mentioned, right, you just log in here. You can see some of the tasks here, say like ls command, cd command, pwd, mkdir, all these commands, right? Most of the things we have covered here. Try to learn it, guys. Okay, this is very, very basic, guys. Of course, yes, interview rate they won't ask, So maybe for freshers and 1 to 2 years, they ask the comments, but for seniors, right, they don't ask. Okay, to be frank, I'm saying, but this just for our learning purpose, our command on the Linux. Because when you start anything on the Linux systems, right, if you don't know all these commands, then it will be a little bit slow. For each command, right, you should find in the Google how to find a file, how to get the count, how to sort, something like that. Okay, just to avoid that part, right, please practice on this website, guys. Okay, there are some setups. They also give some instructions also, abbreviation for each command. Okay, just learn up to here. This should be enough as of now. Okay. Then let's unpause and let's restart the session again. Now up to here, right, we have tried, guys. Then we have some other commands also, guys. In Windows, right, I have something like zipping, 7-zip and WinZip will be there, right? Just like that, in Linux also, right, we can do the compression and decompressing operations, guys. To do that part, right, we have a couple of utilities called, one is like a tar, one is ggip, and another is zip also. So sometimes the zip and unzip, right, may not be available, guys, in the default distribution.
Ano? Sound is enti ano? Sorry guys, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so we need to do these operations, guys. To do this compression, uncompression operation, right, we can use any command, tar or zip or ggip, anything. As I mentioned, right, by default, the tar will come by default. That is the compression operator. You don't need to install it. So zip and unzip, right, based upon OS version, right, as I mentioned, right, OS definitely OS families will be there. Based upon OS family, right, that may be available or may not be available. If it is available, right, you need to install. If it is not available, right, so if it's available, you can reuse it. If it's not available, right, you need to install it using commands. Now, what I'm going to do is I have some files, guys, here. Test1 and test1 is the folder. Test.txt is the file here. So let's try to do the compression operation. Just like a zip, guys, nothing. So tar is the operator, and we need to pass some arguments, guys. To create, right, we need minus C for create and V for verbose, F for force. So we don't need to learn all these things, just learn it by blindly. So if you want to create something like that, just use the tar space minus CVF space. You need to pass the tar file name which you want to create. Let's say like demo.tar file. This is the extension. For zip file, right, you'll have something like .zip file, right? Similarly, zip and WinRAR or something like that. Just like that in the Linux also, right? You need to give an argument called .tar file. This is the extension for the compression file, guys. Then tester. This is the test1.txt file. These two, one folder and file, right? I'm going to create a zipped file in the Linux. See here, what it has implemented is it has created zip file with these two files. If you see currently, right, I should see a file called demo.tar file. Okay, now what I will do is let's copy this file to somewhere, copy to the Vagrant folder, because if we extract here, right, it will ask like overwrite something like that. Just to avoid that part, right, I am copying this file to some different folder. Go here and see now. I have a file here, demo.tar file. Now I want to extract it. To create, right, I have used a command called minus CVF. To extract, right, I need to use the minus XVF. That's it, guys. Nothing is complex. Very, very straightforward. Tar space minus XVF space demo.tar file. That's it. When you run this one, right, you should be able to see these two folder and file within the current working directory. This is how, right, we can do the operation, guys. Same way we can also zip also, guys. Zip operation will be zip space minus R demo.zip file. Here, if you see here, right, I have the zip file also, demo.zip file. Like this, right, you can use any operator, guys. Whatever you are comfortable, right, you can use it. This is just to compress and decompress the file. Okay.
I just missed it. Can you explain this creating zip and extract it again?
Okay, no worries. Currently, right, as I mentioned, right, I have a couple of operators, compression and decompression operator. One is like a tar file, tar, one is a zip, another one is a ggip. Okay, ggip in the sense like 7-zip I have, right, in the Windows, just like 7-zip, right, in the ggip in the sense gunzip, some different zipping tool. That's it, guys. Okay, so in the tar command we have seen it, how to create a file and how to extract it. So to create a tar file, right, which is a zipped file, just compare with the zipping operation. Okay, so we should pass the command called tar and minus CVF. Here C for the creating the file, tar file. Okay, so this is the file name and all these things, right, what and all files you want to compress, you want to add to the zipped file, right, you should add it, you should pass the R as a arguments. Similarly, if you want to extract a zip file, to do that part, right, instead of C, I just need to pass the X, guys. That's it. tar space minus xvf space, and what a zipped file is there, right? You should pass the file. That's it. When you done this one, right, it's going to extract. This is with the tar file, guys. Similarly, you can also use the zip command to do the similar operation. So zip space minus R, recursively R for, and this is the demo.zip file. And when you use the star means it will add all the files in the current folder. If you want, right, you can pass the arguments just like this, like test1 and test2, right? You can pass the arguments if you want. When you run this command, right, what it will do is it's going to create a zipped file like this, demo.zip. Now what we are going to do, let's copy this file to somewhere.
But when we are creating the demo.zip, we are not giving the files which we want to zip them.
Yes, but I have given the symbol, regular expression, star. When you use the star, right, what are the files are there, everything is going to zip it.
Everything means in that particular directory, right?
Exactly. So in the particular directory, you can see one is a demo.tar file, test1 and test.txt file. All these three things, right, it's created a zip file. Now, if you want to do the extraction, right, I just copy to some folder, temp folder, and now I have the demo.zip file, right? Now to do the unzipping, right, you should use the another command, unzip space demo.zip. Currently some files are there already. In Windows also you will see something like this, right? Like you want to replace everything, override everything, something like this.
CP-RF. What is that? Copy minus RF, I mean demo.zip.
I will tell you. So currently, right, by default, CP space, I have given command is CP space, and this is the source path and this is the destination path. Okay, simple. In case R for recursively, if you want to create any folder completely, right, you can use it. But if you want, right, direct the CP space zip also, right, you can use it, guys. That is how it will work out. But when you want to do some folder to folder operations, right, we need to use the minus RF. That's it. If you practice, right, you will get to know, guys, all this stuff. Okay. So I think currently some permissions are not there. So otherwise, right, it's going to extract it, everything, guys. Some permission is there. That's it. This is how, right, we can do all the operations, guys. Okay. Now, similarly, right, let's say if you want to shut down the system, you know, if you want to reboot the system, that part also, right? Let's try to see that part. Try to shut down the VM and reboot the VM directly. See, to do this part, right, I should become the administrator user, guys. So to do any admin level, right, I should become root user. Now let's try to become root user and try to do that part. Currently, right, it will restart my VM completely. Okay, after some time, right, the VM is going to back. Okay, similarly, if you want, right, you can do the shutdown operation, all these things, right, you can do it, guys. Okay. Now let's go back to the background file, guys. So since some people are asking, right, what you can do is I will give some brief overview on this part, guys. Okay, here this is the whatever configuration you are doing, right, everything you are going to do it in the configuration section, guys. Vagrant.configure. This is our base image. So yesterday I have shared some of the commands, right? So it will download the CentOS 8 image from the Vagrant cloud. Okay, if you want to use Ubuntu, right, you should use the Ubuntu. Different flavors will be there. Any OS family, right, you can pass it here, guys. This is nothing but a base box. That's it. Then this is the port mapping, guys. This part, right, I will cover once we install some software. Similarly, right, if you want to assign some public IP, private IP, right, you can use it something like this. Some mount point, that means by default it will do some mount point. If you want to sync any folder from the local from your laptop to the VM, right, you can do this part. And if you want to add some CPU and memory configuration, right, you can do this part. Similarly, if you want to execute some shell script, then you should uncomment this part and it will do that. It will take care of that part. And if you do any operations here, right, in the file, right, you should always reload the VM. So to do this part, right, go to the Jenkins part, wherever I am there. You should just fire up a command called vagrant reload. That's it. What it will do is it will just shut down the file. So it will shut down the VM and it will restart the VM with all newly created configuration. If you update something, it will update, guys. That's it. This is the high level overview of Linux, guys. We didn't cover everything, guys. Okay, don't think like I have covered everything. Very, very basic commands I have covered. So this is just to start with the tomorrow session. Tomorrow, right, what we are going to do practice, guys. Okay, I shared some link, right? Do practice in the portal, some basic commands only. Tomorrow, we're going to install some software that called Jenkins. From tomorrow onwards, right, we'll start with the actual DevOps tool stack. So once we've done the Jenkins side, we'll go further like Maven, Git administration part, all these things. Again, right, we'll cover the shell scripting part. That time, right, I will go in detail in the Linux commands also. As of now, right, just to be comfortable with the Linux, explore it, guys. I don't say like, okay, only practice whatever I have mentioned. Explore in the YouTube videos, everything. Please explore yourself. Okay, update yourself with the Linux command. That's it. If you're comfortable, right, from the next session onwards, it will be very, very easy. Just give some time to yourself. Just give a time like 1 week. By the before the weekend, right, I should be comfortable with all the commands. Don't think like within 1 day I should learn everything. That won't happen. Okay, to be comfortable, right, at least it will take like 4 to 5 days. Okay, give the time yourself and practice. Then, right, it will be very, very straightforward. Okay, guys. So I hope some people are already trying to install, right? So you can share your screen and we can discuss, guys, whatever issues you have faced. For the yesterday, some of the people are trying to install the software, right? We'll try to fix the issues. Okay, guys. I'm going to stop my screen. You can share your screen, guys. You can share your screen and whatever doubts you have, right, you can ask. I think someone asked earlier, say like some connection refuse, something like that. They can share the screen and we can discuss the issue, so that other people also will get to know if they face similar issue, right? They will be able to fix it.
And I came to know because that my VM in VirtualBox is shut down, so I just make it up. Then I'm able to connect it.
No worries, sure, yeah. Yeah, one more thing, guys. As I mentioned earlier, right, if OS is a little bit lower, right, the software may not get supported. Say like everything is tested on Windows 10, guys. If you're using like 7 or 8, right, some issues may come, but let's try to solve that part. Any other guys also tried, guys?
And one more is this Mobax you mentioned, right? Both are the compilers only, right?
What?
This Mobax and whatever GitHub we are using, GitHash we are using, right? The both are the compilers only, right? To run the commands, to connect the
yes, just for running commands. Yes,
why
kind of thing.
Why we need both? What is the main difference between them? Like why we are using the both the tools?
Git bash, right, that will be, I mean, anyway, in Git client, that will be can be used as a Git client also. So all the Git operations will be performed from the Git bash. Okay, just for basic command, I just want to make sure you are comfortable with the Linux environment. That's why, right, you can use the both. Like a Git bash, you can use any SH tool. Not only MobaXterm. If you want like Putty, you can use it. Any tool you can use it.
Achha, so either of them, any one is required, not required.
Yeah, you can use anything. That is fine. It's all your comfortable level. Yeah.
Achha. So we have installed all the, like you have whatever you mentioned.
Install. So that you will be comfortable with the different tool stack, right?
Okay.
Okay. Please stop the video, please. I think Akila guest. Please stop the video. Yeah, great. Thank you.
And also today you did not explain the permissions, access levels, right?
We'll cover that part, like execution permission, read-only permissions in future session, right? One day only if we cover, that is like a complex task for newcomers. Say like a 77576. When you tell those things, right, people will get confused. So just let them comfortable. We'll cover in the future session everything.
Okay, like how depth you will go into these commands as per the like use cases only, like
What, see, day-to-day activities, right? Once you've done the as I mentioned, right? So currently, right, whatever comments I have discussed, right, it will help you for the next classes. Say like Jenkins installation, some SonarQube installation, all these tools, right? We're going to do in the live sessions. Okay, that will help you into that part. In future, right, like arc command with the cut command with the SCD commands, those things, right, doing bash scripting, right, I will cover those part.
Thank you, Venkatesh.
Sure. I think who want to share the screen? I forgot the name. I think is it you, Rajendra, or Nagaraj? Someone want to share the screen and they have some.
Yeah, I only asked the initial when you start the session.
Yes, yes. I mean, you're able to bring up the VM or?
Yeah. Later I just make it up now in VirtualBox. Then I'm able to connect with the Vagrant.
Okay. Now you are able to connect. Okay, fine. Then great. Okay, guys. Do practice, guys. Okay. Do install all the tools. Okay. Otherwise, right? If I start with the Jenkins tool stack, other things, right? You will be little bit backlog, guys. If you create VM and everything, right? You should be able to do. Okay.
Venkatesh, this
Yes,
installation is by default, right? No need to select any other because it is selecting its own options while installing. So, for example, Git client installation.
Yeah, those things that you can use the default. Everything,
default
right? Just run the next. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, guys. I think currently we don't have Teams access, right? So I'm unable to create the task. Go through this, guys. Do this local lab setup, and also be comfortable. I mean, don't think like whatever link I have shared, right? Try to follow that part. If you want to explore more, right? Explore more, guys. Some different comments also will be there. So try to learn as much as possible. Tomorrow, right, we'll start with the Jenkins, guys. I will try to teach you how to install, how to configure from scratch. Administrative part also. If possible, right, try to install your Vagrant VMs also so that you can practice parallelly. Whatever command I'm executing, right, you can execute parallelly so that you will be comfortable with that part. Okay, guys, that's all for today. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining the session. Tomorrow we'll catch up again. Please make sure you have joined, guys. We'll start with the Jenkins setup tomorrow.
Venkatesh, Naresh here.
Yes, Naresh. Go ahead, Naresh.
Yesterday also, a lot of guys talk about these timings now. Till 8 I attended, but now 8:30 I have to left, so I went out.
I understood. So timings will be. I am not very sure, Naresh. I talked consulting team also. So as I mentioned, right.
There is no doubt I'm getting all the things.
Will be tough, Naresh. To be frank, right. So try to join session. Anyway, the recordings, everything will be available. That will be sure. If there are any issues, right, we can connect in the evening hours. Whenever I have some free time, right, I can allocate some time with you and with other folks also. So
for same timing, it will be Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday?
No, weekend won't be there. Monday to Friday only. Weekends, right, I will have some technical support sessions. Let's say like some of the people are able to install the Vagrant and VirtualBox, right? Some people may not be very aware. Similarly, say like some DevOps tool stack also, right? If they are comfortable, right, they will do very fast. Say like some people will be very fast. Some people may not be very fast. I mean, like other people, right? For those people, right, I will take the session on the weekends whenever I have some free time, right? It's like 1 hour or 1.5 hour time. I will take it. I will make sure they are also up to the pace. Mostly, right, in weekend we don't take sessions.
Is there any like in future plan, maybe another 15 days, 20 days, 1 hour, 1 month, any weekend session or night session? Because you can understand now it's morning.
Yeah, I understood. All are working people only. If
if I'm working from home now, it's easy. I get No, if working from home, it's easy. I can manage. But no, I have to.
Ek minute, I'll tell you. So when people are searching for job, right, they don't want to wait. See,
That I can
like the
understand.
weekend batch,
Totally
right?
understand.
The course
Yeah.
time will be extended. Like say, like currently I told, right, within 20 days, 20 to 25 days, you can do the job searching. That will take like 2-3 months. People don't want to wait. Everything, right, instant. Everything should be served on a platter. That's the problem. So weekend batch, right, I have that part in my mind because I am also a working guy. That will be more comfortable. But you know, the timings, the course timings, right, that will be extend like a hell, like 3 months, 4 months, something like that. That's why, right, we have these weekday sessions. Let me talk to the consulting team, but I am not very sure on this part, Naresh. So as I mentioned, right, 80 to 90% people are comfortable with the timings only. But I will try to give whatever I can give.
Okay, Venkatesh. Sorry for interrupting.
No worries.
Okay.
So you please install it. The tool stack, right? If you don't get it right, try to get in touch with Mahesh. So he will share all the software list, what and all needs to be installed, right? So please start practicing. Tomorrow, right? Tomorrow will be very good session. So compared to today, right? Tomorrow everything will be live interactive session. We can do it tomorrow. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining the session. Make sure tomorrow also you are attending the session, guys. Otherwise, right? If you miss some session, right? You may not be with the pace. Bye, guys. Have a nice day.